Welcome back, lore seekers. If you caught our previous deep dive into Termish, today we're exploring the ancient foundation upon which Termish was built, Jhaamdath. This legendary realm was once the grandest psiocracy in Faerûn, an empire where mind over matter wasn't just philosophy, it was rule of law. Let's unravel the forgotten tapestry of Jhaamdath together. To set the stage, Jhaamdath stretched along the southern shores of the Sea of Fallen Stars, from Corumshan in the west to the Great Dale in the east, and as far south as the Great Rift. It dominated much of what later became the Vilhon Reach, and its influence would ripple through ages yet to come. Known as the 12 Cities of the Sword, Jhaamdath was a confederation of city-states bound by both shared trade and military ambitions. Its heartland lay just north of the Chondal Wood and south of the Deepwing Mountains, intimately tied to the Great Bay of Jhaamdath. Jhaamdath's claim to fame was its unique government, a psiocracy. Unlike traditional monarchies or republics, the ruling council consisted of psions and psychic warriors called bladelords. For most of its history, these psychic elites guided the policies and fate of the entire empire. The social structure of Jhaamdath was highly organized. At the top were the psiarchs, psionic rulers, followed by soldiers, scribes, and finally, commoners. The conquest and absorption of surrounding peoples, such as the Tarami, integrated diverse cultures, but always within this ordered hierarchy. One of Jhaamdath's most profound contributions to humanity was literacy. Their written language laid the groundwork for the writing systems that would spread across central Faerûn, shaping the future of all human civilizations in the region. Daily life in Jhaamdath had a distinctly psychic flavor. Apart from conventional weapons, Jhaamdathan warriors were famous for their swords and mastery of the invisible art, psionics. This martial and mental prowess made the empire formidable in both open battles and subtle intrigues. Jhaamdath's military was impressive and far-reaching. It maintained a standing army and drew additional forces from subjugated peoples, such as those from the Shah Plains. The empire's dominance was as much a product of martial strength as it was of psychic supremacy. Jhaamdath was infamous for unconventional warfare techniques, including the magical and psionic spread of plagues. Spells like mass contagion and plague carrier allowed them to unleash devastating diseases upon their enemies, often before those foes realized they were under attack. The plague carrier spell, for example, was pure necromantic ingenuity. Instead of instantly sickening a target, it turned them into an unsuspecting vector, spreading disease invisibly through rival populations. Countering such threats required rare magical intervention, making Jhaamdath's biopsionic warfare especially deadly. The story of Jhaamdath's founding begins around -5800 DR, when the legendary psionic king Jhaam united the scattered tribes north of Nikir-Imath. The first of the 12 cities, Din-Ni-Lith, was founded soon after, marking the dawn of the Jhaamdathan psiocracy. An important figure early in Jhaamdathi history was the psionic prophet Lazik Silvermind. Guided by the god Arpen-Sur, he directed the nascent nation's abolition of slavery and the creation of the Eudoxia, mystical devices that could grant psionic talents to the uninitiated across vast distances. This rapid social evolution saw the old oligarchic council replaced by the ruling psiocracy around -5700 DR. Psiarchs became the final authority, enforcing both psychic order and religious reverence for Arpen-Ser, god of mental clarity. Over the next several centuries, more of the 12 cities rose, and Jhaamdath began expanding its reach through war and diplomacy. Their expansion eventually brought them into open conflict with the burgeoning power of Mir, resulting in a series of wars and political clashes over the Lake of Steam region. Jhaamdath's expansion ultimately met its match in the formation of the nation of Kalimshan, which forced the Jhaamdathi to reconsider their southern ambitions. Nevertheless, the empire's growth in other directions continued for many centuries, culminating with the creation of the 12th and final city, Meerendith. By -1500 DR to -1069 DR, Jhaamdath's eastern expansion ran into stiff resistance from the mighty realm of Unther. Over time, this external pressure and perhaps the rigidity of their society fostered stagnation and increasing xenophobia within the empire. Despite its increasing insularity, Jhaamdath endured until the rise of a powerful metamind named Darian, who seized control, declared himself emperor, and led a renewed aggressive push for expansion, north, south, and west, igniting fierce wars with elves and neighboring city-states. At its height, Jhaamdath boasted an unmatched fleet, constructed with lumber plundered from the vast Chondalwood. The Imperial Navy was particularly ruthless, sinking entire enemy fleets and using magical means to ensure naval supremacy. This era of imperial aggression, especially the brutal campaign against the elves of Nikiramath, set the stage for the Empire's cataclysmic downfall. The elves, pushed to the brink, resorted to their ultimate weapon, elven high magic. In -255 DR, the elves of Nikiramath unleashed a titanic tidal wave, summoning the sea to swallow all of Jhaamdath's 12 cities. This magical cataclysm didn't just erase an empire, it forever changed the local geography, expanding the Bay of Jhaamdath into the great Vilhon Reach. A few isolated towers and outposts escaped immediate destruction, but as the landscape changed, even those remnants were soon lost to the rising waters. Only distant outposts and graveyards, like those on the islands of Altenbel, remained untouched. The devastation left the region's seafloor littered with ruined cities and countless psionic artifacts. Over centuries, the psionic energies from these relics seeped into local plants and animals, warping them into something entirely new: phrenic creatures. Below the waves, the sunken cities became the domain of all manner of sea-dwelling monsters, from coelinths and sea hags to aquatic trolls known as scrags. The combination of powerful psionic artifacts and aquatic predators made these ruins treacherous for would-be explorers. Among the submerged and haunted ruins, certain sites drew legends, none more mysterious than Dinlith, the first city of the sword. Rumoured to be a phantom city, it is said to reappear on moonless nights, hovering above the waters of Vilhon Reach, before vanishing with dawn. Tales speak of a lone, tormented entity, the Caller in Darkness, its form composed of innumerable screening faces, lingering as the city flickers between worlds. After Jhaamdath's destruction, the region fell into chaos and absolute lawlessness. With no central authority, banditry and violence reigned. This dark era called forth a legendary intervention, the Procession of Justice. The Procession of Justice, spanning -247 DR to -238 DR, was no ordinary crusade. The god Tyr himself, along with Ilmater and a celestial host of 200 archons, descended upon the region to restore order and eradicate the lingering evils that plagued the ruins of Jhaamdath. At the heart of this chaos stood Valagan Thirdborn, a lesser deity of anarchy, who had risen to power during the Empire's final days. With a zealot exarch as his champion, Valagan had spurred Jhaamdath's last emperor into ruinous conflict with the elves. Tyr's celestial forces engaged in a 9-year campaign, systematically purging the region of chaos and villainy. Valagan, Thirdborn, was ultimately slain, and the land, now purged, was open for new powers to arise, setting the stage for the eventual foundation of Termish and other Vilhon Reach realms. After the Procession of Justice, survivors and refugees from Jhaamdath dispersed across Faerûn. Some migrated north and east, founding settlements like Impilta and Thesk, permanently influencing the demographics and cultures of those distant lands. Back in the Vilhon Reach, pockets of civilization slowly emerged from the turmoil. The city-state of Iljak arose about 150 years after Jhaamdath's fall, followed by Kondath a century later, both heavily influenced by Jhaamdathi legacy. Centuries later, after the spell plague of 1384 DR, the waters of Vilhon Reach receded. For the first time in over a millennium, the spires of the mythical 12 cities re-emerged, their ruins once again visible and, at great peril, accessible to new generations of adventurers and explorers. Jhaamdathi ruins are not just abandoned cities. They are teeming with lingering spirits and magical residues. One such threat, sword wraiths, spectral remnants of Jhaamdath's sword masters eternally cursed to haunt their watery graves in search of the justice denied them in death. Some notable locations among the original 12 cities include robust trading hubs and fortified cities like Jaurum, the twin cities of Tuoxant and Hollinth, and Corinth, reputed as a treasure trove for underwater explorers willing to brave its dangers. Jhaamdath's legacy endures in more than just ruins. The psychic energies that suffused its artifacts and landscape forever changed the ecology, politics, and arcane topography of central Faerûn. Even today, whispers of the Psiocracy's lost secrets tempt mages and scholars alike. So next time you explore the lands of Termish, the Vilhon Reach, or even distant Thesk, remember, beneath your feet and the sea's surface lie the echoes of a lost empire, where the mind ruled above all. The law of Jhaamdath is ever waiting to be reclaimed, if you dare.